Okay, I want to talk very quickly about this idea of being a serial starter and what that the difficulties with that. So uh, that's something that I've kind of grown up under a bunch. This constant sort of fear of starting things, never finishing them, always being told like you've got to learn to finish things. Now I know that there is an actual discipline. There's a part of that that's actually true. And if you don't have the ability or you haven't trained yourself to actually see something through to the end and then get it done and then move on to something else, then on the one hand, yes, that is a discipline that we do need to learn. But sometimes when it comes to writing, there's a couple of different things that come to my mind. One, I'm a big proponent of uh, take the pressure down, maybe take the pressure away, because creativity under pressure can work. But then there comes a point where the pressure can sometimes feel like so much that you can't even create, and that part of your brain shuts off. So if there's like a ton going on in your life, um, work, business, family, personal development, whatever, if you have a lot going on and it makes you feel stressed, basically, um, then the creative side of you is going to not be as active because the logical problem solving side is stressed and hyper aware and just trying to help you survive. So you're not able to really create because you're just trying to survive. So there is a point where you need to create a space of peace, um, so that you can do that. Now, for my personality type, it's, I don't know, maybe harder than others because I cannot not function in a creative space. It's just how I am. I have to be functioning there, and sometimes it drives me crazy, and I go to burnout. Um, but one thing that I have learned is that it's okay to start multiple things, start multiple projects, have lots of different dreams. And in fact, if you're someone like me, I'm gonna have a bit of ADHD, maybe a lot of ADHD. I don't know, but I've weaponized it. I've learned to ride that. Having multiple different projects simmering or going at the same time uh, is actually really helpful for my creativity because I can bounce between a couple of different things. Um, there are some people who just can't function that way. They are phenomenal. They will start a thing and they will work their way through to the end, and then they will not touch or talk about anything else, and they have a brilliant ability to focus. But then there's other people, maybe like me, perhaps like you, who are really good at scanning, touching on multiple different things, seeing all kinds of different things, being in love with a variety of different things, and then making a little bit of progress at a time on a variety of projects. Now, especially if you don't have like a book signing or a book deal going on, and you're kind of in charge of your own time and your own creativity, um, maybe that's an okay place to be. Like in my case, I've got one novel I started over Christmas break. I lost the interest in it partly because it was, well, I'm literally in a 30-day moving window to get into a new home. So um, I needed to shift gears and I just need to think about something different. And then all of a sudden, I'm back to writing another novel. But I've had like 6 months for it to season in me and for new ideas to start coming. And now it's easier just to put them down because I've had time to think about them. Sometimes when you're trying to force something, it may not work. And you might be inspired by the genesis of a cool idea or a cool project and then not know exactly where it needs to go. And sometimes sitting down and forcing yourself to start writing scenes, um, and trying to outline and just get something done because there's kind of a ghost inside you telling you you can't be so, I don't know, you have got to get stuff done. You can't just start things and walk away from them all the time. I think that there's maybe some truth in that advice, but we can't apply it to everything in our whole lives. It's not always practical. Like if you're in your home life or in your relationships with people, it's actually really important to kind of get that figured out, to create to train yourself to show up and have a bit of discipline, to be neat and orderly and get things done on time, show up on time for other people. Those are essential human skills, that kind of thing. But when it comes to your creativity, I think you need to tread a little more carefully, a little more kindness to yourself, a little more patience. But then here's a whole nother thought. If you're always starting things, maybe that's okay. Maybe you're at a point in your life or your psyche development, your imaginative development, where you need to give yourself the permission to just start things. I think sometimes this is a skill that little kids learn kind of in kindergarten, that kids learn the permission to just start. My little girl, she'll do this all the time. She'll start a drawing, she won't finish, and then just push it off to the side. Start a new thing. Oh, I'm starting a new story today, Daddy. And she'll start writing the thing, and then she won't finish. That's okay, as far as I'm concerned. She's in the phase of learning the ability to just start stuff. How many people around us in our lives never even begin because they're so afraid of either failing or of it not being successful, or of, you know, somebody else not liking it, or not knowing how it's going to end up, right? All of these things can cripple you and hold you back. But when we when we're captured by an idea and we love something, we need to learn the inner freedom to just start doing something. And maybe we don't need to finish it just yet. If kids learn, this is like where we're talking about kind of our inner child now, developing that. If you and your inner child has never had the space and the permission to just start and just enjoy the process of beginning something, first of all, that puts you ahead of 50% of humanity who don't even begin at all, right? So you just begin, and begin a lot. Get comfortable beginning a lot, beginning plenty of little journeys. And then at some point, um, you'll then realize now it's time for me to take the next step, not just to start, but to develop. And then at some point, okay, I've now developed, I've learned that skill, I'm stronger, I have more experience and confidence to develop something. Now I'm going to finish it. Now some people, they'll do like Neil Gaiman says, take a project, make a little trip around, like go on a little sailing boat, take a little trip around the headland, come back, row across a river, and that's it. Teach yourself the experience of beginning something, getting through something, getting to the end of it, and then being done, right? Um, that's an incredibly valuable thing to do. And that's why learning how to write a short story, which is something I'm not very good at, but learning how to do that is valuable. Learning how to write just a scene, a short scene, and then enjoying or savoring the satisfaction of, I did that. It's now done. I started it because I wanted to, and I enjoyed it. And I got to the end, and I'm done, and I now enjoyed that. And I don't have to share this with anybody else, and I don't have to meet somebody else's expectations because I didn't write it for them. I didn't create it for them. I created it for me. Um, and that's the nice thing about being an author, is you don't always have to write for it. Money or a deadline. There are some people where you put a deadline on them and they just collapse. It's like, this, I can't work that way. I will not work. I'm done. And there are others who are just phenomenal. They will see that deadline, maybe the promise of a bonus signing or something, and then they will work toward it and get it done. But it does take a phenomenal amount of discipline to actually make that happen. And all of that presupposes at some point you built up that inner um, ability to just start, and to start lots of things, because you have to start lots and lots of things lots and lots of times to get the confidence to actually find the thing that's actually valuable. Not every idea that an author has deserves 1,000 hours of development time. Some of them are cool enough to merit maybe 1 or 2 hours of like, this is really fun, write it out, store it. And then you have no idea that 4 years later you might come back and then take that idea and then completely deconstruct it and make it into something else. Which is exactly what happened to me with the mouse story, which is what I ended up referencing in the Obsidian walkthrough that I shared a couple of months back. I wanted that idea to be one particular thing for ages, but I could never write it. And I would sort of talk about it and walk around it. And then one day I sat down and thought, I just need to actually write this thing and sort of war game where this could go. And the story ended up being completely different to what I thought, which was kind of hilarious. But it just needed time to season. So there's a thought. What do you think? If this was helpful, hit that like button. I'd love to know what you think. Drop a comment. Subscribe and help me build this community. Help me build this writing community where we'll show up together. Let's write together as every morning that I can. We'll all be chill and supportive. And let's make progress on our writing together. It's hard to do it alone.